People in business risk everything to become successful. They risk their savings, their time, their family's future, their reputation, and years of sleepless nights, all chasing something that is not even guaranteed to work. Yet the story you are about to hear now is of a whole other level. This story is about a man who risked even more than anyone you've ever heard of. The least we can say is this. Imagine waking up each morning knowing you owe banks an amount of money so big you wouldn't even want to wake up. We are not talking about thousands of dollars and not about millions of dollars. We are literally talking about billions of dollars, and the exact amount was literally $4 billion US. $4 billion is an amount of money that is extremely hard for the average mind to even imagine the power of, let alone the pressure it brings. And the scary part is, this man has it as debt and not as assets or net worth. Just take a moment and try to think of how your life would be if you were in this man's shoes, living under the massive weight of a debt so terrifying it could destroy your entire life in an instant. That man was Donald Trump. And at one point in his life, he did face an event that was going to destroy him, his career, and his life entirely. He wasn't simply in trouble, he was drowning in $4 billion of debt, humiliated by the press, attacked by banks, divorced from his wife, lost his hotel, and he was near losing one of his most important and precious properties, which is the Trump Tower, and that was just the beginning of the list. But the shocking part is how this man is a true business genius. Whether a person loves him, hates him, or just loves to hate him, no one can deny that the way he fought his way out of this unwinnable situation, step by step, risking even more and turning a nightmare scenario into a legendary comeback, is one of the legendary business stories of all time. But to understand how Donald Trump ended up buried under a mountain of $4 billion in debt, we need to rewind the clock, not to a glamorous boardroom or a luxury penthouse, but to a small, modest outer office in Brooklyn, New York, just a desk and a telephone. That was where a young Donald Trump worked under the watchful eye of his father, Fred Trump, a no-nonsense real estate developer who built affordable housing in outer boroughs. Safe bets, predictable income, reliable tenants. It was a simple but solid business, and Fred warned his son constantly, "Stay in Brooklyn. Manhattan is a trap. It'll eat you alive." But Donald didn't want safe. He didn't want ordinary. He didn't want to be another builder. He wanted the skyline. He wanted Manhattan. One day, walking the streets of Midtown, Trump stopped in front of the Commodore Hotel. It was massive and completely dead. A rotting carcass of what used to be a crown jewel sitting next to Grand Central Station. Paint peeling off the walls, vagrants in the lobby, garbage near the doors. No one wanted it. Not the city, not investors, not banks. They called it a money pit. Trump saw a masterpiece, but there was one massive problem. He couldn't afford it. Not even close. He had no real cash, no equity, no Manhattan credibility, and that's where most people would have stopped. But here's where the story splits. Instead of giving up, Trump starts asking questions. He starts knocking on doors, talking to lawyers, advisors, government officials. And then one day, a clever attorney tells him something that would change his life forever. You don't need your own money. You need other people's money. You need leverage. And just like that, a spark ignites in Donald's mind. What if he could structure the deal in a way that banks would want to say yes? What if he could use the future value of the hotel, before he even owned it, to fund its purchase and renovation? Trump spends weeks crafting a pitch. He goes to the city and promises that if they help him turn the hotel around, it will bring life back to the area. He partners with the Hyatt Corporation, a respected brand in hospitality, and most importantly, he negotiates a non-recourse loan. That means if the deal fails, they can take the hotel, but they can't come after him personally. That was the first masterstroke. The deal closes, Trump signs the paperwork. And just like that, the Commodore Hotel becomes the Grand Hyatt New York. A dilapidated wreck turns into a shining glass palace. Revenue soars, reputation spreads. Trump has arrived, but he doesn't stop. Flush with confidence, he wants more. Skyscrapers, casinos, gold-plated dreams. He acquires the Trump Tower, builds Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, Trump Taj Mahal. He buys an airline, a yacht, a football team. Each move is bigger than the last. And each time, he borrows more and more and more. His empire balloons, so does his debt, from hundreds of millions to billions, 4 billion to be exact, of which nearly $900 million was personally guaranteed. That means if the businesses fail, the banks don't just take assets, they take him. Then it all comes crashing down. Late 1980s, early 1990s. A deep recession hits, the real estate market tanks, tourism dries up, casinos bleed cash, interest payments pile up. And suddenly, Donald Trump is no longer the king of the castle. He is a man on the verge of complete financial annihilation. The media smells blood. Headlines mock him. Magazines predict his doom. One calls it, the art of the deal becomes the art of the squeal. He gets divorced, loses his airline, his yacht is seized. He's forced to give up his beloved Plaza Hotel. His properties are worth half what they used to be. His name is becoming toxic. And worst of all, he might lose Trump Tower, the symbol of his brand, his crown jewel. Gone. This is the part where most people break. But Trump doesn't flinch. Instead, he walks into a room with 70 bankers, all of whom are ready to tear him apart. And he tells them one of the most brilliant and ballsy lines in business history. If I go down, you go down with me. Think about it. If Trump defaults, the banks don't just lose one deal, they lose billions. Multiple banks, multiple loans, dozens of properties they can't manage or resell in a down market. He forces them into a corner. And what happens? They blink. They renegotiate. He gets extensions. He sells off bad assets. He reworks the terms. He buys time. And with that time, he starts scheming a new path back. That's when Trump has another insight. He realizes something. His name, even with all the bad press, still holds power. People love talking about him. Some admire him, some hate him, but no one ignores him. So what does he do? He turns his name into a brand. No longer just a real estate guy, Trump starts licensing his name. He doesn't need to build anymore. He can just rent out the name Trump for millions, letting others do the work. Hotels, golf courses, clothing lines. The brand becomes a cash machine. And then, the final play. He launches The Apprentice. Suddenly the world sees Trump not as a failing tycoon, but as a sharp, no-nonsense business judge in a sleek suit, barking out, "You're fired." The show is a hit. It makes him a cultural icon. It brings in new streams of money. And more importantly, it resurrects the image. The empire is back. Slimmer, smarter, stronger. Now pause. Let's take a moment to really understand what just happened here. Donald Trump went from sitting in a small Brooklyn office to chasing a dead Manhattan hotel no one wanted, to leveraging systems and other people's money, to building an empire so big he could barely breathe, only to see it all collapse like a house of cards. And instead of panicking, quitting, or hiding, he renegotiates $4 billion in debt. He flips the power dynamic with banks. He turns his name into an asset. And he reinvents himself on national television. All of this while the world laughed at him. This is not about politics. This is not about liking him or hating him. This is about what it takes to come back from the brink. The kind of mental toughness you need to wake up every day knowing you're personally on the hook for almost $1 billion and still walk into the office like you own the place, because in your mind, you still do. It's about the ability to bet bigger when everything in your body says, run. To negotiate like your life depends on it, because it does. To use pressure, not as a reason to quit, but as a reason to become sharper, louder, better. So the next time you think your business dream is too big, too risky, too far away, remember this. Donald Trump had 4 billion reasons to quit, and he didn't. And that's why his story isn't just about real estate. It's about resilience, reinvention, and playing the game when the chips are all down. Because success doesn't go to the lucky, it goes to the bold, to the ones who risk, lose, adapt, and rise again. And in that sense, love him or hate him, you can't deny it. Trump didn't just survive the impossible, he engineered his comeback, piece by piece, deal by deal, name by name. And if that doesn't inspire you to take your own shot, maybe nothing will.